I'm back. I had so much fun yesterday making a video and learning how to use iMovies that I thought I would try again today and make another recipe today. So what are we going to make today? Today we are making Ratatouille. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. And look, I'm standing in the kitchen, and look at what happens when I stand in the kitchen. Yep, that's what happens when I stand in the kitchen. Mr. Aesop goes outside so that he can watch from behind the glass. See, one time I stepped on him and he's like, oh, no, mommy's cooking. I'm outside where it's safe. That's why he's very smart. So there he is. He's ready for some action to happen in the kitchen. And he does come in if I accidentally drop a piece of food and I say, get a cookie. Then he comes in. Okay, so today we're gonna make Ratatouille. And it requires 1 large zucchini, 1 yellow squash, 1 eggplant, 1 red bell pepper, 4 cups of quinoa, but that's only optional. So I'm gonna make it without quinoa. You also will want 4 tomatoes, roughly diced, 1 yellow onion, roughly diced, 4 garlic cloves, and I'm gonna stick to just 4 garlic cloves today, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and 1/2 a teaspoon of sea salt, 1/2 a teaspoon of dried basil, 1/2 a teaspoon of poultry seasoning, and then 1/8 a teaspoon of curry powder. And that curry powder, I think that's the magic seasoning, truly, that makes this dish really taste wonderful. Here's the professional photo in the book, and this is really pretty and lovely, but I'm not gonna probably take that much time to make it look that nice. I'll just probably put my eggplant and my red peppers and my zucchini as a layer on top of the sauce. I did do this once when I brought it to a party, but it's probably not gonna look like that at my end product. It's gonna taste great though. So here is a shot of all the goodies that are needed for the recipe. And so we have our zucchini, we have our eggplant, we have our red pepper, I have 4 tomatoes, I have my yellow squash and my yellow onion. I've got my 4 garlic cloves, I have my poultry seasoning sauce. I really love this tomato puree. You can get it at Bel Air, just the regular grocery store. But what I love about it, biodynamic, is that it is just pure organic tomatoes. There's no citric acid in it, no added sugar, nothing like that. We have our dried basil and we have the magic, this stuff is the best. That's what just gives it a nice flavor. And then I've got my pink Himalayan sea salt. Okay. By the way, these recipes that I'm making come from a great book that has really helped me with some issues, like just healing issues. And it's written by Anthony William, and it comes from the Medical Medium Liver Rescue book, which has some great information in it. And my favorite, of course, is all the great recipes that are in this book. So that's where I'm getting my recipes from. They're not my brain. It's not like it's coming out of my brain. This came from Anthony Williams' book. And okay, so as you can see, there's all kinds of yummy stuff. I'm trying to find my ratatouille. I have made this recipe over and over and over and over and over again, and so I hope that you enjoy watching the video. Because I'm going to cut up my yellow squash, my eggplant, my zucchini, and my red bell pepper. And I'm just gonna make those into thin slices and put those off to the side. I use this little tool, it's called a mandolin. And it is a great tool. If you don't have a mandolin, I highly recommend getting one. It is really sharp though, that blade is sharp. So I also recommend getting these gloves that prevent you from cutting yourself. I think they have like stainless steel in them or something, so. I am missing my cooking partner today, so I'm having to be a little creative with how I do my filming. I miss you, Steven. He's at work. He is an essential worker, I suppose. Not that I'm non-essential, but I can work from home. So I'm an essential from home worker. So when slicing the mandolin, using the mandolin, you just want to take it kind of easy and slice that way. And then you wind up with these nice little slices that we're going to use for our ratatouille. You want them nice and thin so they cook evenly, and also, you know, they're bite-sized that way. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead with the zucchinis. What you're gonna wanna do with those is just kind of cut the little end off where the blossom began and where the stem used to be. Those are kind of tough, so I toss those. And then you want to use your mandolin and just make little slices. 1, 2, 3, like that. Be really careful, like I said, those gloves come in handy so you don't cut yourself. Okay, I have all my squash, my eggplant, and my red pepper all sliced up, so I'm just gonna leave those off to the side for now. And then I'm gonna go ahead and make the ratatouille sauce, which is so, so yummy. In prepping my sauce, I need my tomatoes, I need my onion, and my tomato paste. And I'm gonna chop up the onion, I'm gonna dice it, and I love this little device. It is a dicer, and it's super easy to use, and that's how I'm gonna dice stuff up. And I'll show you how that's done in just a minute. So the first thing that I did for my tomatoes is I took a whole tomato, I cut the bottom and the very top off to get rid of the like a little rough, tough stem area. And you don't really need to cut the bottom, but the stem area can be kind of tough. And then I cut them into smaller chunks. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the smaller chunk of the tomato on my dicer, and it's just this easy. You just like take the top and squish it down, smash, oh. And then out pops little diced tomato below. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that with my tomato and my onion. Just as I did for the tomatoes, I'm going to use my dicer to dice up my onion. And I've cut my onion into smaller pieces, and then again, it's so easy. You just lower the top of the dicer and push. It's hard to do this with one hand. Oh, got it. And then, uh-oh. Sometimes this does happen if I have maybe something tight in there. Have to fix it. And if this happens to you, it's normal. Just lift it up and then put it back. Normally that doesn't happen if I'm using both hands, but I think because I had to press it so slowly, because I'm using one hand to film and one hand to dice, is a little bit more complicated. I have bought a tripod though, so I think these videos will get a little bit easier when my tripod arrives. Since I have the slicing done, I'm going to now reheat my oven, and I want to reheat my oven on bake for 375. It'll take about 15 minutes for that to heat up, and in the meantime, I am going to start putting my sauce together, my tomato sauce. Stop is still outside. He's watching me cook. As long as I'm in the kitchen with knives and slicing and dicing, he stays outside. The minute I go and sit down, he'll run back around, but he knows he's still in observation mode. So in order to make the sauce, I have just a regular old saucepan here, and I am going to be combining my ingredients in the saucepan. My diced tomatoes. I have added my onion now to the saucepan, and next I'm going to be adding my spices. My little garlic cloves here, and today I'm sticking to the recipe. I only have 4. It does call to mince them, so mincing means that you chop them up. So I'm gonna chop my garlic cloves up. The recipe calls for a ½ a teaspoon of sea salt. I like to use the pink Himalayan sea salt, and I'm gonna add that to my little bowl of spices here. I already have my minced garlic, the 4 cloves of garlic, so I'm gonna add my sea salt. Okay, so I am learning iMovies, and I'm learning how to film using my phone. And as I'm trying to put together my recipe that I did today, I was big old lame-o me, and I was not filming. I thought I was filming when I was putting my spices in, but I guarantee that I did use curry powder, 1/8 of a teaspoon. The stuff is yummy, yummy, yummy. It's so good. And I used a ½ a teaspoon of, what else did I put in there? The poultry seasoning. I used a ½ a teaspoon of that. And I used a ½ a teaspoon of the dried basil. But I didn't get any footage of the actual ingredients going into the dish, but I guarantee they're in there. And I also guarantee that I put in the 2 tablespoons of the tomato paste. Okay, as you can see, my sauce is coming along. I've got about another 2 minutes to kind of let that simmer. Now, in those 15 minutes, I took that time to clean up my kitchen space. So all of my tools are now in the dishwasher. And I also pulled out my casserole pan. So what I'm going to do with my casserole pan here is I'm going to put the sauce on the bottom, and then I'm going to layer all of my squash and my eggplant and my peppers on top of the sauce. Okay. Okay, my sauce is just about done here. I'm going to turn off the timer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer the sauce into my Vitamixer. And you're going to want to be really careful doing that because it is a hot sauce. The Vitamixer can handle the heat though. Okay, so I have my sauce inside my Vitamixer, and then what I'm going to do is I am just going to puree that in my blender. I told you yesterday, I use my Vitamixer every single day. Once, twice, 3 times a day. I love this tool. So I'm going to start it on level 1, and I'm going to blend that up. And I'm going to, after I turn it on, I can turn it on right now. Just on level 1, blend it up, and then I'm going to puree all the way to 5. Turn off your machine. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sauce over to my handy dandy casserole. One thing I am learning about filming this, it sure is a lot easier when you have somebody helping doing the filming. It's really hard to cook with just one hand on your camera and one hand on the stuff that you're fixing up. So I'm going to pour my sauce into this casserole dish. Okay, I've poured my sauce on the bottom of my casserole dish, and then if you want to be all fancy, you can layer your zucchinis and your eggplant, but I don't really care to be that fancy, so I'm just going to toss my zucchinis and eggplants and peppers all on top like this, because I don't need to make it look super fancy. It tastes wonderful, and that's what's most important. So we're just tossing all those on top. And there they go. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Some peppers in there, zucchinis. Look at all this garden medley. It's really great. And I don't know if you've noticed, none of the ingredients are fat. I didn't use any oil in this. And the flavors are just great. It's like a little salt. That curry brings a little sweet. I didn't add any sugar to this. And what I'm going to do with my casserole now is I am going to put a lid on it. Boom. And I'm going to put that in the oven for 45 minutes. And remember yesterday I told you it's a good habit to get those oven gloves out. And my husband wanted me to say that these look like, he was in charge of buying new oven gloves, and so he bought gloves that look like soccer goalie gloves. But you know what? They work, so I was okay with his purchase. I guess he wanted to feel like he was, back in the goal box whenever he was helping me cook in the kitchen. So we're going to put this in the oven. I'm going to get that ready, put it in the oven, and we're going to bake this for 45 minutes. There she is in the oven. Enjoy your cooking time. And we're going to set the timer for 45. Oh, okay, while that cooks, it's time for me to take a break. There he is out there watching from behind the glass. I'm going to go take a break and sit on the couch. And he is, I bet, yep, he already knows it. He knows that Mommy's done. He's going to come around and join me. Okay, so that's the timer is beeping. So I'm going to take out I'm going to turn the oven off because I know it's done. I can smell, it smells so good. And there it is, our little casserole. I need to get my goalie gloves out. Boom, and I'm going to take that out of the oven. I took this out of the oven, I took the lid off, and as you can see, everything looks nice and cooked, and you can kind of just give it a little stir if you want the sauce. Don't forget the sauce is on the bottom. But I'm hungry and this smells so good, so I'm gonna dish myself up a little bit of ratatouille. So there is my lunch. As you can see, it's got that nice sauce. You could easily put this over some pasta or some rice or quinoa, but I am just hungry and I'm just gonna eat all these vegetables and this delicious sauce. So, hope you enjoyed watching my little cooking video, and look at who's still outside. Should I let him in? Come on, Aesop, come on in. Coast is clear. Mommy's done cooking.